Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of final regular season week in the NFL. We've got a barn burner going on tonight with two of the great teams that are vying for the last playoff berth. Is the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Hi, everybody. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Ram quarterback, and alongside his 20-year Los Angeles Ram legend and Hall of Famer, Jackie Slater. And Jackie, this is a game of all games tonight. The winner of this game, if the Packers win, they will go into the playoffs as the number 7 seed to face the 49ers next week.
A lot on the line, and they are playing like it. Both teams are playing really well. I think the coordinator on top of their game, Ben Johnson, with Detroit in particular. Vince, I saw him run a nickel trap right up the middle, and Dan Radakovich, the old Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line coach, would absolutely love to have seen that play. It's a play from way back in the day, and just to see those kind of plays, you can see the sophistication with the coaching staff and what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball in particular, and the way this team is playing. Dan Campbell, he's got this team motivated.
Yeah, Jackie, and we saw this game earlier. We'll get the viewers caught up in this game. It's 9-3 right now in the second quarter, but the Lions are lining up for a field goal. But this game started off with the Green Bay taking the opening drive. He just missed the field goal, by the way, wide left. But they opened the drive, Jackie. They were down on the 5-yard line with a long pass by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just seems to come to play in these kind of big games. And it's this cold weather. He just loves this environment and playing at Lambeau Field.
You can't even see his breath coming out of his nose in the cold weather.
He's unaffected, Jack. He's unaffected. He loves this.
It's amazing to me to watch him. And this is what I know. When you're playing cold weather like that, the more you move around, the warmer you get. I mean, it's not like the quarterback is running around, running plays, pushing and struggling with people. Yeah. He's just sitting in the pocket, and the guy's making play after play. Looks like he's nice and warm. It's just it's a mentality that he has, man.
Right, and there's been no touchdowns yet at this juncture in the game, but they've kicked field goals, Jackie. So they've got 3 field goals, driving the ball all the time, just haven't been able to get to pay dirt. But they interviewed Dan Campbell, and he says, our offense takes a little while to get going. They've scored 30 points in 8 games this year or more. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the
number
NFL,
one team is overall scoring 30 points in 8 games. That's number 1.
Well, I can tell why, because of the plays. You mentioned a run, like a little nickel trap play up there.
And I haven't seen that. Yeah. It's been 20 years since I saw that play.
How about the flea flicker, Jackie? We haven't seen that in a while. They ran the ball. They flicked it back. They had the touchdown called back because of a holding.
Yes, they did.
Oh, my goodness.
So some ingenuity. It's not just meat and potato, black and white football like you think. Yeah. There's a lot of ingenuity. Ben Johnson has given some thought to this defense and how to attack it. Oh, boy. And just about every play that they run so far, it looks like it had a legitimate shot when you look at the blocking assignments, particularly on the running plays, and when you look at the protection and the route concepts that they're running. It looks like it had a legitimate chance to be successful.
Right. And Swift, I mean, he's been great performer all year long, running the football. And Jared Goff had a sensational year this year, I think.
How about Jared Goff?
What a turnaround. How from last year to this year. Man. That's just patience, Jackie, and
it says a lot about him too.
Yeah.
It says a lot about Jared Goff.
And really the entire team is really rejuvenated. I mean, a lot of it has to go with the style that Dan Campbell's brought to this team. Yes. It's a tough, tough attitude.
Tenacity.
I mean, their defense is playing well. They've won a lot of games defensively, but the last time these two teams played, Jackie, they played in Detroit, and Aaron Rodgers was just off that day. I haven't seen him throw any off balls tonight.
No,
I mean, he is on, and he will be on tonight. So this is a big game, and they really come to play in these kind of situations. Lambeau Field is packed with their crowd, and they're roaring. So, I mean, and everyone's been talking about the Packers and about the Lions, about these are two of the toughest, maybe the hottest teams coming down the stretch.
Absolutely.
I mean, so in the playoffs, we got the playoffs coming up next week, the wild card week. This is the last game of the regular season game tonight, but the winner of this game will play the 49ers, Jackie, and that will be a contest.
That's going to be a very difficult contest
at San Francisco.
Because San Francisco is playing some of the best football in any conference right now. They're playing well on both sides. Their defensive front is applying consistent pressure events. They're running the football with a myriad of different plays. They're not just running the same meat and potato stuff. They are making you think when they run the football. And it's hard for me to talk good about the 49ers because I hate them with a passion.
And they're doing it with Mr. Irrelevant, Jackie.
They're
Come
doing
on,
it with Mr.
man.
Irrelevant,
Come on,
Mr.
man.
Purdy.
I know
of
it.
all
I know
people.
it.
I mean,
they win big again today, Jackie. The Cardinals. I mean, they blew them out. I mean,
it says something about system.
Yes,
Getting pieces for your system, be it a quarterback or lineman or running back, whatever that system requires. They get those pieces and they just seem to come in and work. They have a lot of success.
And how about this this receiver for the Packers, Christian Watson? He came from North Dakota State. Jackie's a rookie this year, and he's playing lights out right now. And they're gaining more and more confidence each and every week. And here, this is the time to really shine. Rogers stepping it up.
He seems to be falling in like with this guy.
Well, because, Matt LaFleur has got a well-balanced attack, Jackie. Anytime you can run the football and throw the ball, you can play action pass. He's got A.J. Dillon. He's got Aaron Jones at running back. And he'll use the run as much as he'll use the pass.
Hey, Vince, they got big left tackle Bakhtiari back over there as well. And he's been nicked with injuries for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They've gradually been patient with him. He's gradually gotten healthy. And I have seen him just flat shut people down. He is not the guy that you want to put your best rusher on because he's not going to beat him. He's not going to beat him the way he's playing in this game now.
Every time you look at this game, you look at Aaron Rodgers, Jackie, you look at this confident, this guy he's never flinches at anything.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, it's just this calm aura about him. And I think it rubs off on the entire team.
Oh, without doubt.
His deep throws, his Hail Mary throws. Yeah, he's been performing, and I think at this point in the season, this is when he really plays his best football.
I agree.
So it's going to be a tough game tonight. Be a great game to watch because the Lions are not going to lay down at this game. They have a chance to be a spoiler. I don't think that now that Seattle has won today, they beat the Rams in the last second field goal, so in overtime.
Right.
So
another thing, Vince, regardless of who wins this ball game, we got a lot of reasons to think one team or the other would win this ball game. But regardless of who wins this ball game, look at what we have here. We have teams competing for playoff spots in the last regular season game of the season. That's what the National Football League wanted. They wanted parity. They wanted competition. They created all these mechanisms, free agency and everything else where you could go and get pieces to make you special in a year's time. We saw what the Rams did a year ago, bringing in good Von Miller, good pass rushers, and other people as well. So it's a competitive environment, competitive league, and I think it's really fun for the fans.
And it's really a league that has come together. Jackie had the event last week at the Mar Hamlin, and such great news. We want to thank everybody for their prayers because this kid came out with flying colors. He's neurologically intact. Again, he's performing well. He's with his parents, breathing on his own, and he really lifted the Bills, Jackie. And both you and I both picked the Patriots. They played a great game today.
Yeah, they did. They had a good game plan.
They had a great game plan. I thought they really came prepared, ready to play the Buffalo team, but it's just something that I feel, Jackie, has given this Buffalo Bills team an advantage, and that is that lift, that inspirational lift. They're going to play for this kid.
They're playing for that.
Everybody's number 3. I mean, they have 3 written on their jerseys, and they're playing for this guy. And I think if any team can challenge the Chiefs, it could be the Bills.
Down the stretch. Well, Cincinnati has beaten them 3 straight times.
That's true too. Joey, bro, don't forget about Zach Taylor and those guys, man.
Don't forget about those guys. But certainly from an emotional standpoint, Vince, I can't really say that I ever played on a team in a particular game where we had something as dramatic as what we witnessed last week in that Cincinnati game against the Bills. I can't ever say we ever had that kind of a motivation to play in the next game, to turn our level up, to be committed for one another. Can't really say that I ever had that, but I can feel it as a former player removed for a couple of decades. I can feel the intensity that would have been breathed into those players by having to deal with that situation. It would have really been a big encouragement.
It was unique. It really was unique, Jackie. We never really seen that ever happen before. Here is a real important series, Jackie. 2 minutes, 54 seconds left in the first half. 4th and 6. The Packers are going for it at midfield, Jackie. And they got a Detroit Lion guy to jump off. Now, Aaron sees everything, and of course, a free play. He's going to throw it up. Hopefully, get something big out of it. But Bakhtari jumps off the line of scrimmage, Jackie, signaling, hey, this guy's offsides.
So now they got to stop it.
Now it's 4th and 1, Jackie. That's a whole different situation.
Totally different.
Now it almost makes sense to go for it, right? But anyway, I mean, so as we get closer here, the Giants are going to travel to Minnesota next week, Jackie, to play the Vikings. That's going to be a tough contest.
Yes, it is.
But I like the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings are playing
Kevin
good.
O'Connell,
right? They won again today.
Kevin O'Connell's done a good job. There's no doubt about it.
Well, they just made the first down. Well, Jackie, when we come back, we're going to pick this up with 2 minutes to go in the game in the first half.
We got a doozy here.
Yeah,
don't we?
and I'm telling you, the Green Bay is driving again. So, I mean, this is going to go down the wire, this game. But it's a great game to watch. So stay with us. We'll be right back here in another minute. And look forward to talking to you more. Well, welcome back to OnPoint Live with Vince and Jackie, and we're here. Jackie, we got a caller online. Now, who do we have online? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Who is this?
This is AJ.
Hey, AJ.
AJ. Hello, AJ. How are you?
Doing well. How are you too?
Very good.
Very good.
Just kind of recovering from a great day of football.
Oh, a fumble.
From a great day of football.
Well, AJ, we're watching the game. We just saw a fumble there by the Packers. They were driving for a score, and Detroit recovered the ball. With a minute left in the first half.
I bet you a lot of the NFC teams don't want to see the Packers win this game. You know?
That's probably true.
It's probably
Yeah.
That's a good point, AJ.
So,
So what's your question?
Questions on the Rams. You know, the news kind of came out that Sean McVay, he's not really sure if he's going to return. If Sean McVay comes back or if he leaves, what does the offseason look like for the Rams? And I know Sean McVay and Stafford are close. So if he leaves, what does that mean for Stafford too?
Well, that's a really good question, Jackie. You know, it's something that came up. The ESPN broke the news that Sean McVay is considering maybe recharging his battery, Jackie, and stepping aside from coaching. And I just when I think about that, AJ, I think about, you know, he's been so prominent with the Rams in the last 4 or 5 years, you know, going to the Super Bowl twice and, you know, and winning last year. And this year was an off year for them. But, you know, from what they've invested in this team, a lot of the decision making came from the coaching staff to get Matt Stafford, to get Aaron Donald to stay with the team and re-sign these guys, to get Jalen Ramsey, you know, re-sign Cooper Kupp. So they've spent a lot of money. They don't have a lot of draft picks. So is it, Jackie, is he really thinking he needs to recharge his battery? Or is it the fact that maybe there's nowhere to go up with this team because they don't have any draft picks? I mean, it's going to be the same team next year.
Well, I mean, you know, Vince, what you make, and AJ, I think you would agree with some of what Vince is saying now. You could easily see how that could probably be a deterrent from a young, talented coach like Sean McVay. You know, when he looks and sees that the coffers are not full and certainly half empty at many of the key positions. And you can't load up on them by going out in free agency and spending a ton of money, because you've already done that with free agencies from a year ago, in addition to your in-house guys that are being paid like the very best in the business. So where's the money going to come from, and where the players are going to come from? And we know that there are no draft picks there. So I can clearly see, Vince, your opinion there, that this could be a no-win situation perhaps for McVay. And then also, you know, the other things that we have to consider is, what has McVay gone through over the last couple of years? He has been through some pretty traumatic and exhilarating at the same time things in a person's life. And sometimes that stuff can, be it good or bad, even good, can sap some of the energy out of you. I know that when you look at some of the things that have occurred in his life over the last couple of years, over the last year, first of all, he got married. So he's married. He's got his wife there who was there with him all the time. And this is perhaps not what he's accustomed to have going on. It's more wholesome, perhaps, but it's probably something that he wasn't accustomed to dealing with. He lost his grandfather, you know, the great John McKay, who basically built 5 championship franchises up in San Francisco. That's his grandfather, John McKay. He passed away. The other situation that he's had happen is that his new wife, she is from Ukraine. All of her relatives are over there. The Ukrainian area has been bombarded by the Russians and taken over by Vladimir Putin and his regime. And that's all of these things, Vince, when you think about it, they can weigh on a guy. And he might just look at the big picture and might want to take a step back and say, hey, let me do something else so that I can free my mind up just to maybe talk about football, not try to coach it, because, you know, coaching is a very difficult and tenuous thing to do. This it takes a lot of energy to be a good coach. So there's a lot of reasons why this whole thought process of us having to deal with Sean McVay not being there could be a reality. I hope it's not true, Vince, because I think he's the man to rebuild things, but you just never know.
Well, and the other thing too, AJ, does this set back the franchise if he leaves the team? Because so much attention has been directed on his behalf. I mean, this basically his team, his offense, and everything they've assembled there is really Sean McVay's signature on
Absolutely.
it.
Everything.
And I don't really, what I think next year, I don't really see him leaving. I think it'd be a big mistake in his career to leave the Rams at this juncture. This would be an opportunity, Jackie. Some bad things happen in life, but there's an opportunity to come from that. And next year he can come back, fix this entire season and bounce back with the same team he's got this year. And then maybe they'll do something next. But I think that's a great question. It's something for everybody, has got on their minds now because of the story that was leaked out by ESPN.
I agree. AJ, we answered that question for you, okay?
Yeah. Now, if Sean McVay leaves, do you think Stafford starts thinking if he wants to come back and play? I know he just signed another deal.
We didn't touch on that, Vince.
Well,
that was
true.
The end of his question.
Yeah. Well, I think,
Matthew
he had
Stafford.
would he have a contusion to the neck or to the spinal cord or something, Jackie? But
which is very serious.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't care what kind of offensive line you have. When you play football, it's a contact sport. You're going to get knocked to the ground. And if that's going to be a problem for him moving forward, I don't even think that's related to if Sean McVay is going to be around or not. I just don't think he'll probably come back next year. And, they may have to go looking for someone. They have Baker Mayfield, who's done a pretty darn good job this year filling in on late notice. So, they at least they have a quality quarterback that can step forward and play. And so, I don't know. I think it's going to be more about Matt Stafford's physical condition going into next year.
First of all, Matt Stafford has gone on record, AJ, as saying that his problem is not career-ending. It's not a career-ending problem with his neck and all of that. It's what he says, what he feels, and perhaps what the doctors are telling him. But one of the things that Vince and I have been around long enough to see and to know about people who are subject to taking explosive shots from big, talented athletes, these injuries can reoccur and can be more devastating the second time around than they. So it is my hope that this situation is not as serious as we like to think it is. Got to be, though. It's got to be serious because otherwise he would be playing. Matthew Stafford is a competitor. If this situation wasn't dire, Matthew Stafford would be playing. He would have played today, but he didn't, which tells me that this situation is really, really serious, and they're doing everything they can to keep him on the field. Now, I don't know about his contract, if it's guaranteed, if it isn't. All I know is he signed an extension, which is supposed to put him in the upper echelons of quarterbacks being paid in the National Football League, certainly with the resume of being a Super Bowl champion. So all the reason in the world for him to come back is sitting right in front of him. The only thing is, will he come back with McVay? Will they rebuild the offensive line so as to not expose him to as many shots? There's a lot of questions that has to be answered. And I think Les Snead, who just might be the guy for the job, is going to have his hand full. And I know a lot of people are going to be watching him this offseason to see how he goes about the business of rebuilding the team. We saw him build the championship by throwing picks all over the country, and the heck with the picks was the jargon, I believe, was coming out of the organization, and they won. They won big. Now that the coffers are depleted, Vince, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes about the business of rebuilding this franchise.
Did Odell Beckham and did Von Miller see the handwriting on the wall, Chuck? Why did they leave this team? A
couple of things. First of all, Von Miller was scooped up by Buffalo. Okay. The people in Buffalo felt like he was the one piece that they missed because he is a devastating. I
think it was Von Miller's decision that he wanted to go.
Perhaps, but Buffalo
he saw there was a good team there.
Buffalo wanted him with an unprecedented amount of money that they gave him, Vince. For a guy his age to get the contract that he got, that was saying, hey, you were the missing piece, and you come and fill that void for us this year.
By the way, do you think he'll be back for the playoffs, Jackie?
Well, perhaps
he's been hurt.
Perhaps
this is about time to come back.
My understanding was he tore a ligament in his knee.
Oh, okay.
And regardless, I've seen over the years, Vince, way back in the barbaric days, when a guy would tear a ligament in his knee, they used to do things, go in there and say we scoped it and cleaned it out. But no, you tore a ligament in your knee. So putting him, I remember one teammate we had, Vince, they put him in a cast after he tore a ligament in his knee, put him in a cast for about 8 weeks. Then they took him out of the cast and had him do some exercises. And as soon as he put the pads on and started practicing, his knee buckled again. Yeah. So if the coaching staff and the organization are worth their salty sweat when it comes to looking at what's best for the athlete, they got to look at Von Miller and say, hey, yeah, you're still a missing piece, but we're going to have to leave you on the shelf for a year until this torn ligament gets better.
Well, we got to get AJ caught up in this game here, too. There's 5 seconds left in the first half. Jackie, Detroit has the ball, and they have a timeout left. But I think it's down to 2 seconds. So they got a little closer for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, and they're trotting out at number 17 there. And
Yep.
let's just hope he's not the typical, You know how I got this
Wide
thing.
left.
I got this thing about kickers, man. It would amaze me here in
Short.
Southern California. We'd be out here hot, 70 in the 80s, high humidity out there, Cal State Fullerton, all the smog and everything. And then we come to the water break, and they're sitting over there was the punter and the field goal kicker
They need to rest,
with a cup of
Jackie.
Gatorade
That's
in their
right.
hand, cup of Gatorade in their hand, a brow that had no sweat on it, and they're sitting there. Then when we need them in the game, they come and miss the doggone field goal. So
Well, he's lined up now to kick one. I don't know what happened.
Let's
There-
hope the
there's
guy-
a little bit of there's a flag that
Yeah, a
was
little
thrown at
bit-
the
yeah,
offensive line.
Yeah, a little bit of stuff going on. It
So
looks like it
Dan
might
Campbell
be.
is
Campbell's
arguing
upset.
on
He's
the side.
upset. He's
Oh,
he's
yeah.
upset. And
Because if they get penalized there, Jackie, 5 yards, or maybe it might have been someone jumping off sides.
look at what's going on here.
What's happening here?
He walked over.
Douglas.
Douglas
He
walked
can't
over
do that.
and he put his hand on the ball. He can't do that.
What is?
That's
They're going to move 5
let's see
yards
what they call
closer.
this.
Yeah. What was he thinking?
15-yard penalty,
What was he
unsportsmanlike
thinking?
conduct. I don't know what he was thinking.
Well,
That's-
you think
that's
they'll try?
one
You
of-
think they'll try to make a throw for the touchdown? I think they'll probably just kick the field
they're
goal.
going
again
to
here.
the 15
They have
yards?
to.
They're 15 yards closer to 3 points.
Sure, I know it's now it's a
I
chip
mean,
shot. Jackie.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that.
Why would he do that?
He walks up from the edge rushing position
What
when
was
they
the
get
purpose
about
of
to
that?
kick a field goal, and he puts his hand on, the
ball,
ball,
and the ball
as,
snaps.
as the center has the ball in his hand. What was this guy
I've
thinking?
never seen it. I've never seen it. I don't know if AJ's watching it on TV, but
Look at that.
oh, it's amazing.
He's off. On top of that, he's offside.
He's offside.
He has to be saying to himself,
Yeah, right.
"I'm giving him at least 5 yards right here because I'm
Oh,
outside."
I know it. But then he put the ball. Is it now they call it a
Oh,
personal
my
foul?
goodness gracious!
Well, here's the try, and it's
uh,
good.
initial
So they
strategy.
closed the gap to
How
3
about that,
points.
Vince?
So
Have you ever seen that before?
never seen it. So at halftime, AJ, that's 9-6. Green Bay still leads at halftime, and Detroit will get the ball to start the second half. So it's a lot of game left to see. But we want to thank you for calling in, AJ. A great question regarding the Rams, and we'll have to wait and see. Everybody will have to be put on hold and see what McVay's final decision is, if he's going to come back or not. So, but keep an eye on it and continue watching On Point. Thanks so much, AJ.
Thanks for AJ.
Yeah, you're welcome.
See you again
Enjoy.
soon. Well, Jackie made a good point. I mean,
He made a great point.
It's
You know what he did, Vince?
topic.
You know what he did? What he did was he confirmed when you and I came here this afternoon, we asked the question, what's going on with McVay? We asked that question. And so the assumption is, when I'm talking to you, is that you and I are paying attention to the team very closely. But here, this guy's a fan, AJ is, and he calls in and he wants to know that not only how McVay's leaving would impact things, but what's going to happen with the team? What's going to happen with Matthew Stafford? I mean, McVay brought
know.
Matthew Stafford.
There's
He
a
didn't
lot of
just come.
questions to answer, Jackie.
I mean, that's a
So
lot of things that
we may have to get caught up on most of this stuff in this next
I
break,
know.
Jackie, after this
I
break.
know.
But we'll be right back after this. We'll get you caught up in the second half. And stay tuned for more On Point when we come back. Thank you.
wow.
All right. Well, welcome back to OnPoint Live with Jackie, and we're at halftime here at the Sunday night game between the the Packers and the Lions, and we got another caller online. So let's pick it up, Jackie. See who it is. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, who is this?
You know who this is?
It's Dave. It's Dave.
Hey, it's Dave again. How you doing, Dave?
Dave, we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Dave.
Well, I love talking to you guys. I'm actually in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel LAX with a bunch of TCU and a Georgia people here for the game tomorrow night.
Oh, is that right? Are you going to the game, Dave?
I am going to the game. I got some. I bought them 2 months ago when I thought Tennessee was going to go, trying to sell them, and they're not selling. So I'm just going to take my daughter and I'm going to go to the game.
So, Dave, you been to SoFi before?
I have. I've been 2 or 3 times. It's an insane place.
Unbelievable. Isn't it an unbelievable place to go watch a game?
It's like walking into a different planet.
It should be a great atmosphere, Dave, because it's the national championship game. You know, we interviewed Jamali Sawyer from the Chargers. He played on the national championship game last year against Alabama.
Right,
he went to Georgia. So obviously he's a big Georgia Bulldog fan. And he thinks Georgia's going to win, you know, going away. But I think most people would kind of question that a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I think I got to tell you, TCU's just having a magical year, and I just the magic continues. I think they win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be close, and I think TCU figures out how to win it.
You know, Dave, I got to share with you my thoughts. I can appreciate your sentiments there, but you know, one thing that I have grown to realize as I've been around this great game is that it's not so much the coaching all the time as it is the players. When we interviewed Jamari Sawyer, who is the starting left tackle for the Chargers right now because the Slater kid ruptured his bicep. When we interviewed him, I asked him, I said, you're playing at such a high level. You're just a rookie. You were the 165th overall pick in the draft. I said, where's your confidence coming from? What's making you help you play at such a high level? And he looked right at us, and he said to us, he said, when I went to the University of Georgia, he said, all I ever saw was 6 and 5-star rated players. That's all I ever practiced against at the line of scrimmage and at the second level. He said, so I'm used to it. I'm used to competing at a very high level against very, very talented guys. And when he told me that, I'm thinking, okay, this is the rookie starting left tackle, the most vulnerable guy on your offensive line that's getting ready to step in there against TCU. I got a feeling they're getting ready to get bashed.
But Jackie, you had to be impressed with his intelligence. So Jackie, he was really intelligent young man.
But guys, I got to tell you something. TCU has had Georgia played 9 cupcakes, and then they played. They had a game.
Wait, the SEC is cupcakes, Dave?
I don't know about
cupcakes
that,
in
Dave.
the SEC, Dave.
No,
Cupcakes.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Okay. TCU had to rise to the occasion every week.
Yeah, that's true.
Every week they said they're going to lose this week, and they found a way to win every week. And you guys watched the game against Michigan. They completely outplayed Michigan.
It's been a magical year, Dave. You know, and I would have my doubts too. But I think TCU is going to give them all the run for their money. And it's going to be a tough game.
Their players want to win just as bad as Georgia's players want to win.
Sure.
And I know that they have a big physical offensive line. I know that. and that's where it all starts and everything. But it's just my experiences tell me that it's not so much about who's coaching the guys, but who the guys are. You know,
But all you guys
good players make a big difference.
Go back about 15 years when Butler worked their way into the final of the NCAA basketball tournament.
Yes,
and they
I remember that.
And they were supposed to get killed, and it came down to 3-pointer by Butler for Duke to win that game.
Right.
Anything can happen, Dave. That's why they play the game.
Anything can happen. So anyway,
that's
enough about college. Let's talk about Sean McVay. What's going on with him? This is news to me.
Well, we had another caller ask the same question, Dave, and basically our comment was that he's been through a turmoil season this year, and he may have to recharge and take a break. I don't really see that happening, but that's kind of what the report came out of ESPN saying, that he may have to step back.
Yeah.
And but I don't really see the Rams team personnel changing a whole lot, Dave, between now and next year. So he's going to have the same team. I'm just of the opinion is, if this is entering his mind, is he really thinking, well, hey, I've got the same team next year, I'm going to have to do this. I'll be the same as I am this year. Maybe there's no hope to resurrect and bring this team back. But I'm looking at it as an opportunity to show everybody, hey, we can win. We can still win. And that's what I would look at it. But I don't really know what's going to happen. What's going to happen to this franchise if he steps aside?
Well, and then my second question is my newfound friend Baker Mayfield. Is he going to stick around? Is Stafford's injury worse than they're telling us?
Well, you asked about that injury. The thing that concerns me is that I have Matthew Stafford. When I looked at him back in Detroit, and as I watched him since he's been here with the Rams, and certainly in training camp when they had a bad thumb injury, this guy proved to me that he is tough as nails, Dave. He is tough as nails, and he's not the type of guy to shy away from adversity. So the mere fact that he's sitting this long tells me and Vince and I that this thing could be more serious than even what Matthew is willing to admit.
And Dave, I like Baker Mayfield. I hope he stays with the Rams, because if Matt Stafford doesn't return next year, we've got a viable quarterback and a guy that can get the job done. I think he'll be a whole different year next year. So, but thanks for the call in, Dave. We really appreciate it.
I got one last thing
real quick, because we got a quick minute.
Jackie, did you see Matthew at the very end of the game today, the Bills? And
yes, I did.
That was wonderful. It was wonderful what they said about him.
Yeah, it really was. It was just heartwarming, and I was just so proud to see the kid, having grown up in that organization and been a special teams guy the whole of his career.
Your boy's been one of Bill Belichick's favorite players all these years, Jackie.
Yeah.
Him and Tom Brady, and one of the best players of all time, Lawrence Taylor, three of the best guys he's coached.
It's humbling to hear that, Dave. I'm really proud.
No, it warmed my heart. It was awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Dave, Dave, thanks so much for calling in. All right, we'll talk to you again.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back right after this. We'll talk more about the second half of this game coming up and more about the playoffs for the NFL, so don't go away. Stay tuned. Last caller for the evening is a special guest, and
How about
Jackie,
that? Huh?
you'd be surprised. Guess who's calling, Jackie?
How you doing, young man? This is my son, Matthew Slater of the New England Patriots. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Did Matthew? I got one question. Did you come out in one piece?
I came out in one piece.
Oh, that's all I ever. Very good. I'm happy to hear. It was a tough game. I like the way you guys competed. You obviously had a great game plan, and just so proud of you, son. You battled all the way through it.
Yeah, Matthew, I tell you, we were both your dad and I were just predicting you guys were going to beat that game today and get in the playoffs, but that's why they play the game. But there was a gallant effort on the entire staff, the team, the coaches, everybody came prepared to play. And despite all the DeMar Hamlin stuff that was going on this past week, I think the preparation was great. And, we were pulling for you guys for sure, but it was a tough game. It was a tough game and tough atmosphere, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was tough. Obviously, it goes without saying this week was challenging for everyone. To see DeMar sustain his injury last Monday night, and all the emotions that are involved with that, and then coming back and going into their place, it was obviously a very emotional situation, emotional game. And, I thought our guys competed hard. We just, we didn't play well enough in the kicking game and made some mistakes that, you got to tip your hat to Buffalo. They're a very good football team.
Matthew, you're absolutely right about that. But one of the things we all here on the West Coast, we watched what had happened in the ball game, and we knew that the young man DeMar was seriously injured, and all we could do was just pray and hope that the good Lord would heal him, which is exactly what happened with him. How was that? What was the atmosphere in a professional football environment on a regular basis, doing day by day routine stuff in light of all of this going on with him?
Yeah, it was challenging. I think it was unprecedented for a lot of the guys that are playing in the league right now. We've never experienced anything like that. Mm-hmm. And you immediately think about him and his well-being and certainly his teammates, his family, their organization. But then it's easy to put yourself in his shoes. That could be any of us. Those are the inherent risks that come with the game. And I think guys, had a tough time processing that. It took a while, and but the beauty of it is, both of you guys know the locker room is such a special place to have each other and have those conversations with, express concerns with. I really think it was a time that brought our team closer together. So, we were praying for DeMar just like everybody else, and praying for our own safety. But it was certainly a challenging week.
It really was, Matthew. Collectively, everybody came together, I think, and it brought everybody together. And thanks to everyone's prayers and the medical attention that he had. And it was a timely thing, and it got to him at the right time. So the inspiration still is there, and the game is still what it is. It's a tough game. As you mentioned, it's a lot of risk that's involved. But we play the game tough, and that's the only way to play this game. And we're just so happy and relieved that to know that he's going to be fine and moving forward. So we want to thank you for joining us, Matthew. It was a great season. I always loved to watch you play. You came up with a fumble recovery today was great. And
it was a big play.
It was a big play. I thought but I was real impressed with the way the Patriots played today, despite the loss. But you guys came out and gave it everything you had, and it just the ball didn't go the right way a couple of times.
No, it did.
I mean, Josh Allen threw a great pass to Diggs, and it was a phenomenal play. So, but best of luck moving forward, and we hope you can come back for another year, Matthew, and get the team back to where it's got to be.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much.
You guys.
Okay, Matthew.
Look
forward to seeing you.
Take care. Give my best to all the grandkids and your lovely wife.
All right, we'll do that.
Good job, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's
a treat.
Bill Belichick said, Jackie, and it's real inspirational to see a great coach like that and who he really admired over his entire coaching career. Matthew was one of the top guys.
Right.
And I remember when he was drafted, Jackie, coming out of UCLA, and you said, "Oh man, why is he going to the Patriots?" I told you, what did I tell you? I said he's at the right. He's the best place because he's going to find a place that Matthew can contribute to this team, and he really has, Jackie, in a big way. Not only special teams, but his whole inspiration for the entire team. And he's been in how many Super Bowls, Jackie?
He went, Vince, can you believe he's been to 5 Super Bowls?
5 Super Bowls.
And won 3 of them. It's unbelievable, man. He's
got 3 rings, man.
20 years and went to 1 Super Bowl and lost that one.
People don't know. It's tough to get there.
He's been really fortunate, Vince. And as you know, remember we coached him in flag football.
Oh, my goodness.
He works hard at everything he does and gives it a good day's work, put in a good day's work, and that makes a difference in a game like this. You can't go goofing around and soft shoeing around in this game. You have to play it hard and play it tough. And
well, that's who they're looking for today, Jackie, because he's a good role model for a lot of kids. Because when you look at a player, he has to be coachable. Number one, I've seen a lot of great athletes play a lot of different sports, and they're just you can't coach them. You can't teach them what you want to do. And a coach is a teacher first, and if they can't learn, then how are they going to improve and get better? And so it's remarkable what he's been able to do throughout his entire career and play as long as he has, Jackie, because let me tell you, you played 20 years. There's a lot of longevity in your family. It must be hereditary because how many years has he been playing now? 15, right?
He just finished his 15th season.
Wow. That's amazing.
I think I had 3 surgeries in the 20 years that I played. I think he's had about 4 or 5.
Well,
different surgeries.
That's kind of part of the game too, Jackie. And we have surgeries too when we're done playing.
Jackie. Tell me about it.
got aches and pains and all that going on. But hey, we got to get people to the game, Jackie. The Packers just missed a field goal, and Crosby hit 3 field goals. It's still 9-6,
Right.
and it's third quarter. So I mean, this game is going to come down to probably the fourth quarter, and it's usually the quarterback was going to step forward and end the 2-minute drill, and it's probably decided in the last couple minutes of a game. So, and a lot of the passes that Jared Goff has been throwing, I don't know if it's the weather, because he's been getting decent protection, Jackie, in the pocket. A lot of his balls are low for the receivers.
Low and away, Vince. Low and away.
And I don't know.
He's making good decisions. He seems to be throwing the ball to the right guy.
Right. But the balls are just not traveling at the velocity and the accuracy that you'd want to have. But we'll see what happens moving forward. So let's talk a little bit more about the playoff structure, Jackie. The Cowboys play Tampa next week in Tampa, and the Cowboys today lost a game. Who beat the Cowboys today?
They lost a game today.
The Washington beat them 26-6.
And do you know what Washington did?
What'd they do?
They ran the football for 150 yards.
That's right.
They ran the football
40 times, right?
Almost 50 times. I think it was they ran against. I mean, they just beat them up front. And that's what I've always maintained. The good pass rushers, you don't put them in their element. They come there with cardiovascular endurance and motivation to rush the passer. Okay. They don't come there to get hit in the lip.
Let me tell you statistics. Let me tell you something about statistics, Jackie. I'm not a huge statistical guy, but when Dak Prescott throws for less than 35 times a game, they've won most all their games. When he's thrown for more than 35 times, they've lost.
And every time he's thrown for less than 35 times, they've had great rushing outputs. Yeah,
and today he threw 37 times, which they lost, and they only rushed the ball for 54 yards or 64 yards.
So what does that say? You got to run the football to win games, man.
Yeah, you have to be balanced, Jackie. And and so when you talk about statistical analysis, for a quarterback, when you look at these quarterbacks, if you put Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Herbert throwing over 35 times a game, they're more than likely to win most of those games. So
absolutely.
Here we go. It's a long touchdown pass. Great throw by Jared Goff.
Vince, he rolled
to the left, threw it all the way across the field, Jackie.
Across the field to the right. Vince, we did a statistic. We looked at Jared Goff when he was playing with the Rams, and he statistically has a very high percentage ratio when he throws the ball back towards the right side of the field. When he throws it to the intermediate, to the left side of the field, this is where he runs into his problem. But this has always been a very accurate pass for him.
That was a deep diagonal play too, Jackie, and rolling to the left, a tough, difficult throw, and he made a great throw out of it. This is now. It got down to the 1 yard line.
1 yard line.
Here they go, and they walk right in.
They just scored to go ahead. How about that, Vince?
Well, that's it's 13-9 now, Jackie, and so that missed field goal, I think, gave this team a lot of impulse to come back and let's do something. Now it's time for us to start moving.
Vince, and that's another thing that we haven't mentioned, and I should be ashamed of myself, but this has got to be one of the best young offensive lines in pro football. They're big, they're burly, they seem to be very well coached, and they're put in positions to make to make plays where they got defenders guessing, like we saw on that trap, that up the middle trap that we saw that I told you I hadn't seen in a couple of decades.
Yeah.
So they're doing a great job of putting these big talented athletes in position to win games.
Yeah, they're up 13-9, Jackie, and they're aggressive, Jackie. It's the mentality of that Dan Campbell is impelled to these guys. I mean, these guys now are all believing they want to attack. They want to be tough. They want to blow somebody off the line of scrimmage.
Look at all those big 350.
They're coming up to celebrate, man. That's what it's all about.
Vince, so let me ask you a question. Dan Campbell said, "We're gonna do what it takes to win. We're gonna hit him and kick him in the knee and bite him in the shin.
Whatever it takes, Jackie."
It looks like he's committed to doing what he said, doesn't it?
So they're gonna assume the role of a spoiler tonight, I think, Jackie, because even in the beginning, if they won, they needed help. But now that Seattle won, I think if they beat the Packers, I think Seattle goes into the playoffs. So anyway, we'll see how this develops. I'm sure we'll find out soon. But the Cowboys play Tampa, and they got to travel to Tampa. So, and then of course, the Eagles have the week off. They're the number 1 seed. So,
Right.
and they played Jalen Hurts, which we thought they would this weekend. And so, and they won.
Mhm.
So, Nick Sirianni, probably the coach of the year. I mean, he's really produced for this team. So
what do you think about the Giants and the Vikings, Vince? You think Kevin O'Connell is juiced up? You think he's ready?
Yeah, the Vikings, I've gone against them a lot this year, but they've proved to me that they deserve to be in the playoffs, and they're going to be at home. The Giants are a good team too, Jackie, and they haven't been too good against the pass, but
you mean Minnesota?
Minnesota has not been. So
but it's not like Daniel Jones is lighting it up.
Well, he didn't play today too, so maybe I don't know. They're waiting for next week. But anyway, so that's going to be a tough game. But how about the AFC too, Jackie? We got to talk a little bit about the AFC.
Before we talk about the AFC, the scariest team in the NFC right now, to me, the 49ers.
Yeah, and
they're the scariest team over there.
Yeah, they will play the probably the Packers or Seattle.
Right.
And I think they'll be the team to beat in the NFC for me.
Mm-hmm.
In the AFC, you got the Chiefs, who are the number 1 seed. Jackie, you got the Dolphins, have to travel and play the Bills. They played them twice this year. The Bills, I think, are just they were regenerated.
Yeah,
they're a team to beat.
And they're on this emotional high too, Vince.
Yeah,
they're playing. They have an additional incentive to play and win ball games, and they're a talented bunch to begin with. But you give them incentive, extra motivation that can make them even more dangerous.
Yeah.
The team that scares me over there that I just can't get over, the Joey Burrow. Joey Burrow is a talented quarterback that's very articulate when it comes to the decisions that he makes.
He is, yeah.
He is as clean a passer as there is. And so if he gets the protection during these playoffs, I predict that he's going to be, because remember now, they beat Kansas City 3 times in a row. Not once, not twice.
I know they're about the only team that can beat them, or the Bills maybe this year. But we'll have to wait and see, because the Ravens have to travel to Cincinnati to play the Bengals.
Right.
I do like the Bengals in that game too, Jackie. How about the Chargers have to travel back to Jacksonville?
See, this concerns me a bit, Vince. Yeah. When the Chargers hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars early in the year, they lost 38-10. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they've got guys. Vince, when you lose football games in the National Football League, when you lose games, you are awarded at the end of the season, just like the Bears are going to be awarded at the end of the season, the first overall pick.
Yeah, that's true.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have been picking in the top 10,
stockpiling players each and every year.
Talent for I don't know how long. Look at the linebacker Allen. He's 6'5", he's 255 pounds.
Josh Allen, the same name as the quarterback for the Bills.
He was in the hook curl area and 15, 20 yards deep. They threw the ball out there at 255 pounds. He takes it to the house and is the difference in the game scoring wise. So they got a lot of playmakers down there, man, and that are just starting to come into their own. The young, talented guys just starting to come into their own.
Doug Peterson's done a great job too. He can be up for coaching.
Done a fantastic job.
But Brandon Staley could have this team ready to go. They're going to have to play, but they lost Mike Williams today. I don't know how long he's going to be out. So
that's going to hurt, Vince.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. So anyway, that's the wrap up for the playoffs next week, Jackie. Wild card weekend, but we're also always glad to share our thoughts with these guys. And you want to remind the viewers to always make a comment.
Yeah. I always get the opportunity to do this because it means so much to me, so much to Vince and I. We're enjoying what we're doing. We're having fun. Vince and I are good buddies. We enjoy covering the game. We both love the game. And we know that there are people out there like AJ, like Crazy Dave, who
Matthew
really,
Slater,
who really have some really probing questions about the state of the National Football League, the state of the Rams, the state of the Chargers. And so we want to encourage you guys to pick up that machine and text us out, blast us out these questions, and we'll get back to you. And when you call in, we'll look forward to visiting with you and get your questions answered. It's a lot of fun for us, and we'd like to give you as much of our knowledge as we possibly can pass on.
Well, that does it for tonight and the last regular season week in the NFL. So we enjoy you. I hope you enjoyed the playoffs coming up next week. Continue watching this game. It's not over yet. Still 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. So, but both Jackie and I want to wish you guys a good night. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.